Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video here, and this one we got a special guest. We got Andre. He's our newest hire here at Adelfia on the team. And the topic for today is passing your license. So let's dive into it. All right, so Andre, what's going on, man? Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Chris.
All right, so yeah, Andre recently just got his license. He's been on the team for now a month, and part of our process is obviously we need everyone to be licensed in the agency. So we got some good tips. If you are in the process of getting licensed, this should help you a lot. And I told Andre, let's think of like the top things that I've helped with and what he would suggest for people out there, because this can help somebody out there and it could really, change their game when they're taking their test, like you giving these tips. So Andre, let's just go straight into it. What would you say are your top tips for passing the license that helped you pass?
Yeah. No, definitely. First of all, first tip I wrote down is to not get frustrated.
Yep.
It is a lot of content that you're studying. Chris kept telling me it's not easy, or else everybody would have their license. Right. So just know that you're working for that end goal to be licensed and, be able to help people.
So patience.
Yeah, patience is very important. Another tip that I wrote down was there's a lot of information in the internet, that you could find. There's a lot of practice tests. Maybe we could put some in the description of the ones that we used,
Which ones? Which ones did you use?
Like the Pro Profs was perfect. I feel like that gave me a lot of value, and I learned a lot from those practice tests. The Quizlist flashcards that were very important for me as well.
So another thing is like they scatter here, I'll take this. They scatter the information all over the place. So like there's practice tests in different places. It's not just like, so Pro Profs is a good one because it can it shows you the answer. It's not a super long test. You can answer, it shows you the answer, gives you the explanation right away. And that's like a weird site. Like it's like a random janky site kind of. Then Quizlet is also like, you never know anybody can make it on Quizlet, but there's your program, the one you pay for, which is, we use Mike Russ.
Yes. And
then you can use the other ones, right?
Yes. So. I was going to mention that too. I chose to go with the Mike Russ course, and they had a practice test on it too, so I definitely went over that a couple of times.
How many times did you do that test?
Man, I don't know. I really don't have the number, but I would say probably like 15 plus.
And it's a long, how many hours? Like it's like a 2-hour, 3-hour test, right?
Yeah, it's 160 questions, so it's like the exact questions that you get on the actual test. I mean, not the question per se, but it's the same amount of questions. So yeah, it took a couple hours of my life doing it, but it was well worth it. Yeah, so another tip that I wrote down was, I think this is very important. I would make a cheat sheet on everything that I studied, and before I would go in taking my test, I would review it 30 minutes before. The brain is a beautiful thing, and it just stays up there, even though if you don't think that you may be retaining the information, it's fresh in your mind. And I think that was very important for me as well.
So reviewing your cheat sheet 30 minutes before the test?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, because that's like a big one. It's like, when should I study? Should I not study before the test?
Yeah.
Should I study the day of, not the day of? That's a good one. Like I did the exact same thing. I had a cheat sheet, and it was just like major ones that were like tricky, and like just scanning it and going through it in the car, like at the place, like before you jump in there. It's like your main may or may not be retained, like you said, but it's just like you're seeing it again, and it's like right there 30 minutes before you're like, get the juices flowing.
Yep.
What about like food? Did you eat and stuff before? Or no?
Oh yeah. I didn't even wrote it down, but yes, it's very important to have a good meal before your test. You don't want to be thinking about, being hungry or just your stomach growling,
Yeah,
yeah. And lastly, I'm just being completely honest with you guys. For me, it took me 4 tries to get my license. It's kind of funny. Each time I did better than the last time before I passed. I needed 2 questions to pass, and I feel like I was focusing on just getting the right amount of questions to pass the test instead of focusing on getting the best score I could possibly gotten. And but yeah, this one goes hand in hand too. Like I said, it took me 4 tries. Each time I failed, I made sure, and also Chris, I thank you for this too, because you weren't letting me get any time in between to just let the information rest. I would schedule myself as soon as possible again, and I think that's very important, at least for me, because all the information stayed in my head. If I would have waited, I don't know, let's say a week or 2 weeks to study or whatever, the information, I'm sure that I wouldn't have passed if I wasn't persistent and scheduled myself as soon as I could after the last try that I had. But that's what helped me pass. So
sure. And the reason I told you that, Andre, I'll tell you a quick story. I also had a similar situation. I was in college getting my license, and I was in the middle of starting a new quarter in school, and my dad would basically, he was kind of on my ass about about school. So I had just taken the test and I failed by one question. Same thing, like you failed by two. It's the worst feeling ever, by the way. I failed by one question, and I called my dad and I was like, I failed by one. He's like, Chris, you need to focus on school. Like, you have midterms coming up soon. And he said something like that along the lines of those. And he's like, I don't think you should take it. You should wait a little while. Maybe take it next month or after the quarter's over. And I was like, I remember just sitting there and being on the phone like, dude, are you crazy? Like, no way. I just failed by one question. I'm going to pass. Like, I was like, I'm going to pass it. So I didn't listen to him. That's like one of the few times I didn't listen to my dad. I was like, no, you know what, dude? That's bad advice. So I didn't take his advice, took the test right away. A week later, passed with flying colors. Exactly what you said. I didn't study to pass. I studied and I just crushed it. Like, I passed with significantly higher. And then one bonus tip I'll throw in that you didn't say, Andre, is flagging all the answers that you don't know. I don't know if you did this on the last one, but I flag, if I don't know something, I just flag it and move on to the next one. I only answer stuff I know. I finish the whole test and then I go back and then I look at the ones that I flagged. And sometimes when your juices are flowing at the end, you can, and this is where you have to be patient during the test and not just rush through to be done, because it's a long test and your patience can run out. You need to go back and spend every minute that you have on that test and look through and analyze and dissect every question, because there's little words that they throw in that are just trying to trick you. And it's like, if you just pay 1 minute more attention, you could get the answer, and it could be that extra one question that you would have passed the test. So don't make the same mistakes as me and Andre. It took me 3 tries over a course of 2 or 3 years when I was in college. So that's what I would say. Those are my tips. Great tips, Andre. And anybody out there trying to get their license, send this video to somebody in your team that's trying to get licensed. It could help them. Andre is a beast because he kept getting up every single time. I was nervous. I was like, hey man, is this kid gonna is he gonna show up and go back and get it, or is he gonna give up? And dude, you showed up 4 times. You got beaten up, and as I say, it's if you're not getting bloody, you're not in the game. So you're in the game, and if you're failing, it's at least you're showing up and shooting your shot. So that's all I got. I think that's a good one. If you guys get any value from this, send this to somebody who needs it, who's going to get the test. Take the test, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, comment something below. Shout out to Andre being on the team. Watch out for him. He's on the come up. So we'll see how he does here in the near future. And we'll keep you guys posted. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.